Good morning, Rabbi. Good morning, Chevra.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning today's three prakim Rambam, Hilchei Shavuos, prakim Zayin, Ches, and Tes. In our Chayelus on page 180 in the back, we are beginning with Perek Zayin. Perek Zayin is going to give us more details of the third of the four categories that we began in the first chapter. We're going to start focusing on Shavuos, Hapikadin, many pratim, right? We had Shavuos Bitui, Shavuos Shav, Shavuos Pikadin, Shavuos Ha'edus. We're beginning with Shavuos HaPikadon. 7th chapter has 16 halachas, beginning with halacha Aleph. A person has a financial claim against this fellow, but it's a claim that if the other person were to admit to this claim, he would be obligated to pay. Now, guys, it's important to note that there are certain financial obligations that if I tell you you owe it to me and you admit, your admittance will make you exempt of paying it to me. For example, if a person steals, so aside of them owing the principal money that they stole, they also owe double as a penalty, knas. There is a rule that that if a person owns up, he admits to the fact that he did that misbehavior, he's automatically exempted from the penalty. So Shavuos HaPikadon cannot be regarding a claim only regarding a penalty. It has to be regarding a claim that if the person were to own up, he would be obligated to pay. However, that person initially, kafar, number one, he denied. And now that's the key, v'nishba, and he took an oath in denial. Or that the plaintiff is using the words mashbiyacha ani, I am adjuring you that you should return to me that, for example, that I entrusted to your care. So the Toiveya used the word Shavua, and the other party, the Kafar, denied. And that's exactly the scenario where when this person does Shuvah, right, they're going to be obligated in all of the penalties connected to Shavuos HaPikadon. Now here's the Chiddush. Even if that person did not say the word amen, only the claimant, only the plaintiff says, I adjure you. That's the uniqueness of Shavuos HaPikadon. If he denied, here an oath was given, even though the oath was not given by him, he's going to be chayiv. Now, guys, remember, the chiyuv is to pay back the principal, to add the halachic fifth. Like we explained just one more time, that if the claim was regarding something that's $100 worth, then a fifth here means $125 in addition. Even though 25 out of 100 is a quarter, is a fourth, but 25 out of 125 is a fifth, and the unique carbon, the carbon asham. In this case, it doesn't make a difference whether you initiated the oath, or if the plaintiff took the oath against you, he adjured you, and you denied, which is normally what's needed if I'm not the one making the oath. Amen is kamaitzi yashom bipif, but here you don't need that. In our case is ka'anias amen. And halacha bey is now in contrast. In contrast, but if the claim was regarding a moment, that if he would have admitted, he would not be chayv to pay. For example, that the claim was only regarding the type of financial that we put in the category of a kanas, and that's why won't he play? Because of the rule she'ein adam mishalem kanas al pi atzmai. And in such a scenario, he taka owed it, but he denied and he swore. Nowadays, a pratim is Shavuos HaPikadon, and now comes an akudah that we're going to have now, and we're going to have in the 8th chapter, we're going to have in the 9th chapter. That chevra, don't forget, this guy took an oath that was false. So whenever you won't have the unique laws of Shavuos HaPikadon, if the oath was sheker, the person will be chayiv for the first category of oaths, which is Shavuos Bitui. And we know it's a whole different chiyuv, right? For Shvuas HaPikadon, like we mentioned, Keren, Chaimish, and Karban Asham. Shvuas Bitoy, B'mezid, Malkus. B'shoigi, Karban Oil V'Yered. It's going to go into that category. Why? Because he swore falsely. Halacha 3. If the claim was not regarding movable kesef or shava kesef, but it was regarding real estate, or it was regarding slaves that in the Torah are compared to real estate, or if it was regarding a document, in other words, there was a document that I'm holding, and whoever holds the document gets to claim the time of the document, and someone else is telling me that the document that I'm holding is theirs. I'm denying it, and I'm taking an oath. So it was about the document. Even though the document can lead one to get money, the document doesn't have any inherent value of money. The kafar benishba patim mishvos apikadin, and here again, that's the rule. Whenever you patim mishvos apikadin, you're chayiv mishvos bitui shadei nishbal sheker. Halachid dalid. Now, 1 second. Why are we exempting these 3 categories? It's not a knas. If someone claims that the house that I'm living in belongs to them, here in LA, that's a big money claim. And if I would own up, it's not a knas. So it's not. Why are we excluding it from Shvuas HaPikadon? So this is based on Psukim, says the Rambam, because Lafisha Nemar, and now we're quoting the words towards the end of Parshas Vayikra, where the Torah gives 5 examples of a money claim. It's very rare, 5. Bipikadon, you have something that I gave to you for you to be a custodian. Sesumes Yod means there's a financial deposit. A financial deposit would also include a loan. I loaned you money. Begazel, you robbed something from me. Ashar Kasamise means that person is claiming that he worked for me, I owe him wages, and I'm holding back the wages. Or I found a lost article. Guys, these are not the only financial claims. There are other financial claims, like you damaged my property. It's the Torah is not covering everything, but the Torah is giving 5 examples. So we only add that which is similar to all of the 5. And what is that? All of them are regarding mitaltalin. Which means we exclude karka'oi she'en metaltalin, and therefore that's the way we look at real estate. Real estate can never be taken away from its owners. The yatzu avodim, because in the Torah compares slaves to karka'os. The Torah says achuzas, a word that's used regarding real estate, and the yatzu shtarais she'en gufa mammon. Their actual substance is of no financial value, which is dissimilar from all of the 5 examples. Halacha 5. Whether the oath was taken after the claim. So someone claims, I gave you my watch to be a shayman over. Give it back. And that person afterwards, denies. The person swears after the claim was given. But here, even if the oath was taken prior to the claim, for example, one person tells the other, why are you running after me? But you think I have something that belongs to you? And no claim was made yet. And he right away gives an oath. Shvua, I swear. Says the Rambam, even though he did not deny a claim, because there was a denial of owing money. And it wasn't a denial against the claim, but he initiated the denial. And he took an oath. Guys, remember these details. You'll appreciate them better when we're going to learn, God willing, today's 9th chapter, and then Shabbos, the 10th chapter, and you're going to contrast how certain of these halachas are unique to Shvuas HaPikadon. Also, another thing, halacha 6. Whether the oath was taken to the person who's claiming the money belongs to him, or even if the denial and the oath was towards the shliach, which had the halachic right to act in his stead. That means he has a harsha'ah, he was given the power of attorney, as we'll learn in another series exactly how that happens. In both cases, that's called a proper denial and an oath because of the rule. When will he be chayiv? Only he must understand, the guy who took the oath must understand the words of the oath. Halacha 8. And that's the rule, guys. Whenever it falls into the category of Shuas HaPikadon, you won't be chayiv for Shuas Bitoy, even though it's a Shuas Bitoy. I'm lying. Elamai, that's the whole word. Anytime, for whatever reason, it doesn't fall into the category of Shuas HaPikadon, if it's a sheker, then it will fall in the category of Shuas Bitoy. Eino loika, ela maybe ashamei bilvad. That's the big difference, right? Mezid Shuas Bitoy is Malkus, Mezid Shuas HaPikadon. We'll see in a moment. There's a Kevin B'Chaimish. There'll be a Chaimish also. First, you bring a carbon asham. And by the way, by Shuas HaPikadon, it's both here and there. Sharei HaKosav, Ritziyah, Mechlal, Chayavi, Malkus. V'chivrei asham, Bein B'Zadin, Bein Mishgog. By Shuas HaPikadon, we don't differentiate. The punishment will always be the same. Keren, V'Chaimish, which again, the Chaimish we'll speak about in a moment. The Rambam is just emphasizing that will be only a Chiyuv carbon, which is normally lesser than Malkus. Okay, normally when a person violates an Isur Kodesh, they get Malkus, B'Mezid, B'Shegig, they bring a carbon. Here, no, only a carbon. Okay, Halacha 9. Kafar v'nishba arba'y chamisha pa'amim. The person is denying, and he's swearing not once, but many times, 4 or 5 times. Oy, shehishbiyoy hateveya arba v'chamisha pa'amim. Or he's not the one initiating the oath, like we began in today's chapter. This is equally applicable if the claimant, the plaintiff, is saying, I adjure you, ich bashver dir, that you have something of mine. And this guy says, no. That denial is called a denial. And if 4 or 5, another detail, guys, remember this to contrast again in today's 10th chapter and 9th chapter with Shuas HaEdus. There, bein bebezdin, bein shaloi bebezdin, makes no difference where this happened. In the court, out of court. Harei chayiv korban asham al kol shvua u'shvua. Well, okay. She'ilu hoida achasher kafa, and the Rambam is explaining why. Because if this person would have owned up after the denial, hoya chayiv l'shalem, he would be obligated to pay afal pisha kafar bebezdin, even though he made his initial denial in a bezdin. What are we talking about? I'll tell you, let me give you the contrast to appreciate this. We're going to learn when it comes to Hilchas Eidus, and a little bit, again, in the 9th, 10th chapter by Shuas HaEdus, when it comes to testifying in court, if I make a statement in court, and then I say to the bezdin, to the court, no, I lied, my second statement, B'chal, will not be accepted, because there's a rule, Kivin Shehigid, Shuvin HaChayzer Magid. So that's the word that Rambam is trying to say, that when it comes to saying something in the bezdin as a witness, you only have one time to make a statement. So your second statement won't be believed anyway. But since over here, if I deny that I owe you money in court, I deny. And then I make another statement, I admit. We don't say Kivin Shehigid Shuvin HaChayzer Magid. No, because here I'm not coming as a witness, I'm coming as I owe the money. The point is that since every single time, instead of me denying, had I owned up, I would have been chayiv to pay. So that's called a denial. And for every time that there is a denial with an oath, you're chayiv to pay another carbon. You're going to be chayiv v'chaimish also, every time. The first that Rambam focuses on the carbon. That's the word. The nimsa poiter atzmei b'chol kviru kvirim and atashlumin. If the person would have, that's a big rule. I deny. Then I tell Bez, you know what? I was lying the whole time. Bezdin will believe my last statement. In the context, pay up. So every kvira is of significance. Now, what happens if 5 people are making a claim against Reuven? And all 5 tell Reuven, each one of us gave you something. You are our custodian. No, it's each one is making a separate claim. And he takes one oath. He denies it all, but he says, it's big this. Even though he made 5 denials, the punishments that the Torah is giving him is regarding the oath. He took one oath. It's because he made one oath. Now, if he said, I swear that I don't know you. Here we go, the famous lacha lacha. L'loy lacha. L'loy lacha. David Leader is a local LA guy. Even by the way, even though he only said the word oath once, since he specified, I swear not to you, not to you, not to you. Now, what happens if the claim is coming from one plaintiff, but the one plaintiff is claiming many claims? Give to me that which I entrusted to you. Give me that which I loaned to you. Give me that which you robbed from me. Give me the lost article. It's a good shepherd. You have 5 different things. I'm saying, Pikadin Yad Gezel here, the Rambam gives 4 examples. And the guy again says, not I don't owe this, that, or the other. I have nothing of yours. He made one oath. He's chayiv one carbon. Now here comes, you see how sometimes a leniency brings about astringency. Why is he only chayiv achas? Because we combine them all together. Let me tell you now the chumrah. If we combine them all together, even if the value of the pruta, which is necessary for you to be chayiv in all of these punishments, is only if you put together, there is a pikadon that's worth a quarter of a pruta. There is a robbery, a quarter of a pruta. If you combine them all together, then you only have one pruta. You're going to be chayiv because it goes both ways. But since you're only chayiv one carbon, why is that? Because we're combining the shvur. We're saying it's one oath. It's one oath. If it's one oath, then you combine it all together. If this person would have been chayiv, let's say 4 karbanos, then if each one would have been less than a pruta, he would be chayiv 0. Halachi 12. However, when he says shvua she'ein l'cha biyadi, when the oath was made, even though he doesn't use the word oath 4 times, but he specifies, I don't have, not a pikadon, I don't have the loan, I didn't rob anything from you, I didn't find anything that belongs to you. Since he said each one, chayiv al kol achas v'yachas, and here, guys, everyone has to have the value of a pruta. Halacha 13. Another example, give me wheat and barley and kusmin that I have in your that you have that belongs to me, and he says shvua she'ein l'cha biyadi, ein l'chayiv alachas. But if he says shvua she'ein l'cha biyadi, chitim u'soidim v'kusmin. Now, guys, here's a bigger novelty. The Rambam is not repeating the same example. This is a whole new example, guys. Chitim u'soidim and kusmin are all under one category. It's about grain. So one might have thought that even though he specified 3 different articles, he should only be chayiv 1. Says that Rambam no, he's chayiv 3. Why? These are the words of Chazal. Shemois nefradim. Since we give different names, even though they are all a subcategory under the bigger category of wheat, of grain, he's chayiv al kol achas v'achas. Halacha 14. 5 people are making a claim against this one person, and they're telling this one person, 10 lonu, give to us, pikadin, gazel, va'aveda, ususumas yad, sheyesh lecha biyadcha. And he addresses only one of the 5, and he tells them, you hear what he said? Notice when he responded to one, first of all, he specified all of the 4, and then this genius turned to every one of the other ones, and he said, you know how many karbanos the guy has to bring? 20 karbanos. Because there was 4 claims against him made by 5 people. So if he specifies for each one, to each one, 4 times 5 is 20. How great is that? Halacha tes what? Great for God. God gets 20 karbanis. See, that's the beauty of tshuva. Here comes this big donor. Okay. Now, guys, we're speaking about a person, just to say, Bekitzer, we're going to go into details when we learn the parsha of the Shomerim. A Shomer Chinam not only is exempt, if there was an Oines, a Shomer Chinam is exempt even by Genev and Vavev. So that's the case over here. So the plaintiff is telling a person, give me back that which I gave to you. He's claiming, I lost it. Meaning, I'm not chayiv to pay you the money. I'm not obligated. Or shakafar boy, he denied b'chlal being a custodian, and v'nishba, and he takes an oath. That's so far. That's the case. Now, so what's the din, guys? Keren, choymesh, and oshim. That's the classical case of shuas hapikadin. Now, v'chazar v'ton she'avad. After he admitted, look what's going on over here. The guy admits, and after he says, no. I retract my admittance. V'ton she'avad again. He says, no, it got lost. And he nachmali takes an oath. Or, and then v'chazer v'hoida. What do you do with this guy? Says the Rambam, Mishalem, hakeren harishain. You're never going to be chayiv for every time a new keren. The claim is about shepselet. The claim is about $500. But for every denial with an oath, you're chayiv another fifth. You're not going to be chayiv a fifth on the fifth. You're not going to be chayiv a fifth on the fifth. You're going to be chayiv for every time another fifth. The shalom hakeren lishoina and v'choymesh echad l'chol shvua v'shvua. You got it? The fifth is part of the class. It's like we learned before. You chayiv for every time another carbon. But the keren is different. The keren is in a different category. Shenemaras, it says, how do you know that you chayiv for every time a fifth? If it's gavaldik for people who are al-Qaidas, or people who can remember the wording of the Chumash. Sometimes it says v'chamishi soy. Guys, v'chamishi soy. It's good. V'chamishi soy means fifth, right? His fifth. Chamishi sov. If you know Lashon Kodesh, if there's a yud between the saf and the vav, it's plural. V'chamishi sov yosef olav. Fifths have to be added. Fifths is because there can be one case and one denial and many fifths. Ketzad, for example, if the keren is worth 4. So just again, when we speak about a fifth, what's a fifth? So guys, 1 out of 4, you would claim is a quarter. No, when we speak about a fifth, if the claim was about 4, then when you add 1, you have 5. 1 out of 5 is a fifth. That's what the Torah means with a fifth. And whenever there's a claim regarding 4, a denial with an oath is machayev you 1. So if the claim was about something that had a value of 4, and the guy went back and forth 3 times, for every time you have another pruta. So the 4 becomes 7. That's the case here. It was a claim against 4, and the guy
man.
Zelig the kafar v'nishba v'hoidem, and after he admitted v'chazav sha'avad. That's round number 2. Finish, but now second time he admitted. Now round number 3. So there was 3 times a denial, an oath, and a admittance. So now Mashalom Shiva. In other words, you're not penalized a fifth on the fifth to say that after the first time around you're chayiv 5, and now that you deny it again, you're denying 5. You are denying 5, but you're not denying 5 keren. You're denying 4 and 1. Very good. Final halacha to Zayin. If the claim is about something that doesn't have the value of a pruta, halachically it's not considered significant in a moment, and therefore and here again the Rambam says, don't forget, this guy lied. He took an oath b'sheker. He said, I don't owe. Right? It was shvuas bitoy and the avar lahara or lahetiv for yes or no. He said no. Really, it was yes. He's going to be chai for shvuas bitoy. Shvuas bitoy has nothing to do with the value. It has to do with the fact that you lied. For that, the mezid malchus, let's chazir. Well, depends. And b'shoigig, some people, for them, they would rather get malchus and not pay money. Right? Very good. You're making a good point when it comes. Correct. So anyways, Yechayiv Malchus b'mezid and b'shoigig Yechayiv carbon oil b'yoyred. But shoigig, as defined in the earlier parts of this segment, Perek Ches is going to be another chapter that we're going to learn more details about Shvuas HaPikadon, and we're going to have more cases. That's going to be a continuous theme. That whenever you're not going to allow for a case to be part of the Shvuas HaPikadon category, it's automatically going to fall back in Shvuas HaBitui. Now, there will be cases where you won't be chai for bitui as well, as we'll see. Shvuas bitui also has to be, it's shtaim shen arba. Shtaim shen arba, as we said, future tense, past tense, for yes or for no. There are going to be certain cases where a person can take an oath, that's sheker, but it won't fall in the category of shvuas bitui. And we're going to have cases of that as well. But the ikar will be is that whenever something is excluded from shvuas hapikadin, then right away we try to connect it to shvuas bitui. Perek Ches has 14 halachas, beginning with halacha number 1. If a person steals, like guys, you have to know these rules. These are basic rules. If you steal an ox, and then you go ahead and either you slaughter it or you sell it. So the Torah says that for the theft, you always have to give back that which you took. Let's say the ox is worth $100. For shechting or selling the ox, by an ox, you have to pay back $500. You have to pay back 5 times. In other words, it's viewed as principal plus totaling 5. If a person were to steal a small domesticated animal, then they would have to pay back 4 times. It's called arba or chamish. That is called a penalty. The keren is the principal. Now, the owner of the ox, the plaintiff is making a claim, and he tells him, this defendant, Gonafta Shoyri, you stole my ox. And now this guy says, Gonafti, I stole. What does he say when he said I stole? It means he's moida that he's chayv the keren. If I'm saying that I stole, I'm chayv the keren. But he makes a denial only regarding the penalty.
Where's the actual cow?
Doesn't matter. Because even if he doesn't have it, he'll be chayv the principal. One way or the other. Right? But when he made the claim and the oath, the denial was only regarding the knas. And the guy then takes an oath. And then he admits that he swore falsely. Here the rule will be, this won't be in the category of why? Right? We spoke this out in the beginning of the last chapter. If he would have admitted, not only if he would have admitted, yes, I stole from you, but if he would have added the full truth that I slaughtered it or I stole it or I sold it, he wouldn't have to pay the bar v'chamisha. But he wouldn't have to pay the bar v'chamisha. Guys, let me tell you like this. There's two steps to it, even though the Rambam makes it sound together. If you remember the Gemara, step number one is that whenever the Torah says pay back 5, let's say by the ox, Dovi, 5 and not 4. The way we view the 5 is that when a person stole, how much are they chayiv to pay? Chayiv to pay the principal and kefil before anything. Then if they stole it, or if they sold it, or if they slaughtered it, they're going to have to pay a total of 5. But how much are we're not adding keren and kefil and then 5. It's a total of 5. When the person admitted that he stole, he's already exempt from the double. If you can just text Zelig, I say, I wish I knew how to put it here on mute. So halka, the Torah says chamisha v'lay arba, arba v'lay shloisha. The moment you admitted to the theft, you are exempt from the kefil. You'll never count to the 5.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of that, the whole 5 is viewed as a knas. And based on the rule that moida beknas pater, if you would have admitted, you wouldn't have had to pay. So many people are goydis above here. Umipnei shuhu knas. The whole 5 is a knas. Not only the moment you were owned up to the geneva, are you patel from the kefil. So even if you would be chayiv to pay for the added punishment, but it would never amount to 5, it's 5 and not 4 by the shor. The whole thing is a knas. He did not make a denial regarding money. He made a false denial. He took a false oath. It was sheker regarding the past, but you don't have this. It wasn't a monetary claim. And yes, the chayiv b'shvuas bitoy because so either again dovi yamalkis, or if he did it b'shoigeg means he knew he was lying, but he didn't know that there's a penalty. He'll be chayiv the carbon oil of which is substantially, as if the guy is poor, it's a lot less money than the carbon ash. Halacha 2. If a person tells his colleague, "Hey, mishoircha es avdi." Now, guys, if your ox killed my eved, what is the din? So the Torah gives a value for all avodim, and that is 30 shekel. Anytime the Torah gives a standard number, regardless to the value of the eved that was killed, that in itself is a raya that it's in the category of knas. Maybe you call him up, he doesn't hear. The kafar v'nishba, and the person makes a denial. Or if an eved is telling his prior master that you knocked out my tooth, you blinded my eye. And here the rule is that the Torah gives a knas to the master that he's chayiv to emancipate the slave. And this person, instead of owning up to that, the kafar v'nishba, because if he would have owned up to it, he would not have to pay anything that's in the category of knas. He's not chayiv to pay. Avol chayiv shvus bitoy v'chein kol kayoytze b'zeh. Halacha gimel. A person makes a claim for something that has in it a knas, like we mentioned, but there is also a monetary part, which he does have to pay even if he would have admitted. I'll give you the best example.
Just like this, right? Cover?
The cover.
I don't need a loop.
Maybe just make it slower. It's going to be helpful. Here we go. I hope. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can hear me, okay? But if they would speak, I can't hear. I don't know how to do it on the iPad. Okay, let's send them a text or call them up. You call them up, will be better. Okay. So now there was a claim that has in it both money and penalty. And this guy denies everything. So the din is, yes, because we don't say since Pardes Kanasi is out of Shuas Apikadon. No. There's an example. We learned it before. What's the din of a oinus or a mafata? A guy's a mafata has to pay the 50 shekel kesed, which is considered knas. And if you remember in the Rambam, even though in Parshas Kiseitze, we learned only there about the 50 shekel, but as the Rambam says, you also have to pay boishes and pegam. Boishes and pegam is called money. When there's a ma'anis, God forbid, I know the Torah speaks about the penalty, aside of the penalty that he has to marry her and the 50 shekel, aside of that, he has to pay boishes, pegam, and sar, if you remember. Boishes, pegam, and sar is in the category of mammon. And this guy denies it all. And he says, Lo yonasti v'lo patiti. And he takes an oath. And then he owns up to it. He admits. So the din is, Chai b'shvos hapikadon. Sha'af al pi she'enim mishalom knas al pi atzmai. But ilo haydolo hay mishalom boishes pegam al pi atzmai. V'chein, ha'omer l'chaveri kanafto shoyri. Unlike the beginning of this chapter, this guy makes a complete denial. And he says, I didn't steal your ox. The nishba. Yes, Chai b'shvos hapikadon. Sha'af al pi she'enim mishalom kefil b'hoyda asay. Even though he doesn't have to pay kefil, had he admitted, mishalom was akeren b'hoyda asay. Halacha number 4. You wounded me. You know, guys, what's the din of wounds? It's good to remember this. You have all of the five penalties, right? Nezek, tsar, ripui, sheves, boishes. Not penalties, monetary, different categories of monetary chiyuv, obligations. And this guy says, lo yosisi, I did not wound you. Another type of claim. Hey, Miss Shoyrcha Eshoyri, your ox gored my ox. Now, guys, you have to remember when it comes to animals, if the animal is in the category of a tam, for which you only have to pay chatzi nezek migufay, the Rambam views chatzi nezek as kanas. So the Rambam here is speaking about a muad. Your ox, that's a muad, gored my ox, which means I'm making a claim to pay full damage. And this guy makes a full denial. Because and what happens? Now, guys, what's the din of a shomer chinam? Anything other than pshia, he's exempt. This guy would not be chayiv. And when he claimed, and he tells him, "Where's my ox that I entrusted to you?" He made a denial. Guys, you know, this guy, this chacham, had he said the truth, he wouldn't have been chayiv anything. He says, "No, lo hifkad li yetzliklum." Or the animal died, and by the way, the guy is exempt. But instead of him claiming the emes, the guy says it was stolen. Now, the din is geneva va'aveda by Yeshemer Chinam is also exempt. What happened is something for which he's not chayiv. He's lying in his claim. He's saying geneva or aveda. You get what's going on over here. And v'nishva, and he takes an oath. I mean, if he would have been moida to what? To the truth. If he would have been moida to the truth, he would have been exempt anyway. Because if he would have said that what? That meis hashoy, he wouldn't have to pay because he's a shomer china. Great. So it's not like moida beknas pater. Here it's a different scenario. Had he owned up to the truth, he would have been exempt. He will be chayiv. Why? Allah 6. If a person lent his ox to his colleague, and when he demanded the ox back, when be'emes, what really happened was a similar case. The ox died. Now, guys, what's the din by an ox dying? What's the din? Chayiv, right? A shoyel is chayiv for everything. There are some. He's chayiv. It means the emes says he's chayiv. The ox died, and what does he say? Another claim, which anyways won't exempt him. Gavaldik case. He's claiming Geneva. He's claiming Aveda. Why is he claiming that? Because this Chacham thinks that just like Pashem Chinam, right? Geneva Aveda is potter. He thinks Shoyel is potter. He lied, but he's not claiming something that's exempting him. The Nishbal Zer also Hadeza potter Mishwas Apikada. Why? Shadele potter Hatzma Menatoshum Bekfirasai. Even though he made a false denial and oath, he did not exempt himself through that denial. Whether he would have said the truth, which the ox died, whether he, even regarding the lie that he said, that Geneva or Aveda or Nishba, as we'll learn in the Hilchah Shoyl. But here again, even so, here it's even worse. Here the guy has to pay. In halacha, hey, he doesn't have to pay me manavshach. Here he has to pay regardless. But he's going to be chayv mishum shuas bitoi. Abul chayv mishum shuas bitoi. Shalei nishba ala sheker v'chein kol kayotze b'zeh. Halacha zayin. Putting everything together, this is the general principle. When the person did not free himself from the financial claim only through the denial, the nishba, and he did exempt himself from payment through a false denial, and there is an oath. And like we mentioned, it doesn't make a difference whether he took the oath, whether the other person, the plaintiff, adjured him, mashbiyacha ani, and here we don't need for him to say amen. Halacha ches. Hagoyin of shor chaveri. Utavoy ve'omer loi shori gonafti. You stole my ox, and he says loi gonafti. Ma tivoy etzlecha. Ata ifkarata etzli. V'nishba chayev b'shvuas hapikoden. In other words, she'ilu hoyde shegenavoy hoye chayv l'shalom me'ar shemikol makoyim taken not the kafel. Here's another case. In other words, he made a denial in something, part knas, part mamein, but va'achshav she'omer pikadin hu, right? That's what happened. What happened is that he stole it. What did he claim, Danny? He claimed that it was given to me as a pikadin. Now, you would argue that his claim, how was he denying through it? He stole it, he's chayv for stealing. He made a false claim that it was given to him as a pikadin. If he's not returning the pikadin, he has to pay back anyways, let's say in such a case. We don't care about why exactly he's not giving it back. The moment you claim, when you are a ganef, that you're a shomer, no matter what happened, that claim in itself reduces your liability. Because if I stole something from you, no matter what, I'm chayv to pay. If I'm a shomer, depending which type of shomer, but there are certain times that I'll be exempt. Like oinus. An oinus, a shomer is going to be potter. A ganef won't be potter for oinus. If I steal something from you and then some oinus happens, I'm chayiv. So the fact that I made a claim, the claim in itself reduced my liability. That's called shvus hapikadon. Va'achshav she'omer pikadon or a potter atzmi b'kfira zu from gneva and aveda. She'im nignav asher yovel acharoi dozu epatim lo shalom. That's the key. It's the moment the guy makes a claim, which reduces his liability. That's also called a kfira on mamay. Halacha tes, another similar case. Really, I stole it. I'm claiming that I rented it. Guys, if I rent something from you, I have more obligations than a shomer chinam. Or a shomer chinam is pater on geneva v'aveda, and a soicher is chayv on geneva v'aveda. Doesn't make a difference that I'm claiming something that makes me more liable than a shomer chinam. Doesn't matter. But I'm a ganef. Even a shomer sachar has less liability than a ganef. That's the word. Because, for example, if the animal broke, if the animal died, a soichet is not chayv. If I rent your car and the car breaks down, I don't have to pay for it. If I steal your car, I'm chayv for everything. Well, again, the moment I make a claim, which is not fully exempting me, but it lowers my liability, that's called shvus hapikadon. Even if he says you lent it to me. Now, from the four shoymrim, shoyl is the most obligated, but it's not as much as the geneva. The nishba also chayv shvus hapikadon. Because you know what? There's one case where a shoyl is exempt, and that is mesa mach b'shas malach. Right? The truth is there are other cases that if the lender was borrowed out to the borrower together with the article, then he'll also be pater. And Rambam doesn't have to give all the cases. We'll learn about it later. The point that I'm just trying to make is that if this guy lied,
okay,
even though he lied regarding something that makes him very, very liable, but it's less than the emes, you lowered your liability, even if you'll be chayv to pay anyway. The claim is a claim that is a kfir on mammon. You're still chayv shvus apikadon because you stole. You're not a borrower. Halacha yud. Lafikacham amar loy. Loy gonafti. Whenever he says a denial of the theft, which really happened, I didn't steal. Or even if he says you loaned it to me, I'm a borrower. But 1 second. And after he lies, guys, he immediately gives back the ox. So how do you view this? This is Gaval. No, you're making a claim against me. I'm lying. I stole it, God forbid. I'm claiming anything else. I borrowed it, and here's the ox. Did I lower my liability? No, because the moment I'm returning it with my claim, I have zero liability. Elama, I lied. You lied. The chayv was bitui. If your chayv was bitui, you gave it back, and he says that he sharchal v'necha kacheyu, and he swear. Why did he have to swear? He's giving it back anyway. No, you stole it. Yeah, I'll tell you why. The guy's ashamed. Guy's shemsach. He got the red hand. I'm practically. The point is, he's giving it back. But instead of saying I stole it, no, you lent it to me. Here's back. I don't have anything to do with you. You're claiming that I stole it. I'm not a ganif. And I am. Because now, once I gave back, I'm giving it back. The emes is that if I would have owned up that I'm a ganif, if I would have owned up, I wouldn't have to pay you kefil because I was moida. So there's no denial. And there's no reduced liability because I'm returning it right now. Elama, guys, I was mishaka. Okay.
So end of the day,
when I say I did not steal it, that's called a shvuas bitui. Sheker lavahain. There's a detail by shvuas bitui. It has to be yes or no. I'm saying I didn't steal. So I'm saying no regarding something that's yes regarding the past. The maze that I'm chayv malkas, b'shoig I'm chayv karber earlier. It's shvuas bitui. Halacha Yudalef.
It's as if he made a shvus.
No, he made a shvus bit because he swore.
By him saying, "I swear I didn't steal it."
Yeah, he says he exactly. He's denying. He's making an oath to back up his denial on the oath.
Right. He just said, "I stole it, but here it is. I'm giving it you back."
Yeah, no oath. There's no problem. There's no oath. The problem is that there's an oath. Halacha Yudalef. You sold it to me. And he's moida that he owes the money. I didn't pay you yet. You know what? You're coming to me by claiming that I stole it from you. Take back your animal. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Or he says, here's the money or here's the animal. Or no, you gave it to me as payment for work that I'm going to be doing for you. If you want, I'll do the service. If not, take it back. Or I stole it. I found an animal wandering in the street and I took it. I didn't know it belongs to you. Or I didn't take it as a matzah aved. I didn't know. Now that I know, take it back. Even better. Your animal was chasing after my cow. I only took it to prevent your animal from damaging my cow. Good for you. And take it back. The point is that when he makes his false claim, he's right away giving back the kedem. The nishba al kol tainam elu pater mishvos hapikadon sharei loy pater atzma miklom. But the fact that he stole it, his claim is basically saying I didn't steal it. That's a bitoy l'sha'avar lav. No on something that was yes. Chayv shvos bitoy sharei nishba la sheker halacha yud beis mishay chayv mam l'shnei shutvim. What about do two shutvim change it? So I guess if a person is chayv to two partners and one of the two partners made the claim and the guy denied. Then nishba chayv shvus apikadon sharei kafir mamain. It's important. Even if this guy was moided to the other partner, the claim against me was I stole from the partnership $100. When one guy makes the claim, I denied. Even if I went over to the other guy and I gave him 50, whatever I owed that one partner, which is half of what I stole, I'm making a denial. Chayv shvus apikadon. Now. If both of them came to me, here he's telling to one of them, you're claiming me that the partners loaned me money? No, they didn't. You individually loaned me $100, and I'm giving back the whole $100. In other words, I'm not exempting myself from any monetary payment. I'm moida that I owe the money, but not to both of you, to the partnership. You at private pocket. So the din is pater b'shuas hapikadon. Sharei loy pater atzmei miklum. Yes, chai b'shuas bitui. Halacha yud gimel. Huh? No, because I don't think every time is saving face, guys. Don't forget. Maybe he wants for the money not to go to, there's two partners, to Uben and Shimon. He really doesn't like the Uben. He doesn't want to do something wrong. He doesn't need their money, but he wants the Uben to get a kick in the side. How is he getting it? Because all of this money will go to Shimon. Shimon will say, hey, he gave it to me. Oh, halacha yud gimel b'chem yishohis olav malva bashtar. Now here's a big chiddush. Guys, the rule is that whenever a loan is documented, even if achrayis is not written, achrayis to soifer, which means that automatically that debt is liened to real estate. How did we begin chapter 7? That shvuas hapikadon is not going to include avodim, shtorois, karkaois. It automatically makes it into a karka claim. And the guy denied it, the idiot, and he swears. Then he does tshuva, no longer, now he's a tzaddik. Why should he bestehen? Nicht habe der Karka. Der nimmt sie sehr, gekauft über Karka. Ukvar beyarnu, shakar über Karka, patur. Mi shvuas hapikadon, b'chai b'shvuas bito, yisharei nishba wa sheker. Final halacha yudalid. Hoysa olav. Let me get the volume back up over here. Hoysa olav malva or milva be'edim milvad. Unlike if the loan was a non-documented loan, and this person denied, and he took an oath. Chai b'shvuas hapikadon. Exactly. Sharei pater atzmei b'kviras min hasham at. Now, another nuance. Falpi that keshe yavoyu ha'edin. Yischayev l'shalem v'nimtza shelo ha'iro like kvirasai. It's very important. We keep on saying that, why am I chayev? Because my denial is what exempted me. And if I would have admitted, I would have been chayev. What happens if there's a case that even after my denial and my not tshuva, God forbid, there's a possibility that I'll be chayev anyways? Doesn't make a difference. It's called, it helped, you know what? Because right now the Edom are not here. Right now there are no Edom. Number one, maybe the Edom won't come at all. Number two, even if the Edom come, and we know that it's a milva, the Edom. Doesn't matter. Why Loitzeskai Medusan? Guys, we're going to learn about this in the Chasedus. When two Edom come, Beis Din interrogates them. We're going to learn about the Bedikas, the Chakiras, the Drishas. If they contradict each other, many times it can happen, even if they're saying the emes, it can happen. Beis Din will dismiss it. Or they can become Edom Zoymimim. Or Yipaslu. Or Edom Zoymimim, or we'll discover that one of the witnesses prior to that, Chesmid Rabbanan, was a gambler. Or whatever. Or even worse. So in other words, just because there's Edom, the Rambam doesn't make a difference. If the denial right now is exempting you, you are included Lufika Chayiv. And we conclude not only the 8th chapter, it's such a good Seder, but now we finished the 3rd category, it's Gavaldik. So we learned the details of Shvuas Bitoy, we learned the details of Shvuas Shav, Shvuas Hapikadon, and now the final chapter today, and the first chapter, God willing, Shabbos, will be about Shvuas Ha'edus, what will be beautiful now. The Rambam loves numbers. The Rambam, whenever there's numbers, especially the Rebbe says when numbers have a certain significance, we're going to learn in this chapter 10 conditions that have to be met for the type of oath that's false to be included in the category of Shvuas Ha'edus. And we're going to have the same klal generally, that even if it's not included in Shvuas Ha'edus, if it's shayach to Shvuas Bitoy, because it's past, yes or no, future regarding me, yes or no, here it's all about the past. I don't know, I do know. Then you'll be chayv mishum Shvuas Bitoy, which is Shvuas Sheker. Okay. Perek Tes has 19 halachas. It's today's largest chapter. We have enough time, God willing, and we're starting with halacha al. Says the Rambam, hatoiveya eidov lohoy loy eidu sheyischayv hanishba beidusam levado. So there's a plaintiff, there's a claimant, a toiveya. Let me just make this again low. Yeah, and he's being asked. He's asking witnesses, please come and testify. Now, what the word levada is very important, guys. I'll give you just one example. The Rambam is going to write another example. So levada means, imagine, let's say I loaned you money. And I know that I have 2 groups of Edom. It was in front of many people. all kosher people. And let's say it was in front of 4 people. And I remember 2 of them were standing here, 2 of them were standing over there. If I walk over to the first 2 and I tell them, guys, I'm taking Yankel to court. He's a kofer hakel. He'll get away with it. I mean, the Rabbanon will have to make a shvua sesses, but I need you guys to testify. These 2 Eidim know that there are other 2 Eidim. Here, when they deny, we don't know anything, that's not going to be included in shvua sesses. That's the beginning line. That I'm going over to people, these are the witnesses that I need. There is no other means. There are no other people. It also means to exclude other cases. But these are the guys that if they come, I'm going to get my money. If they don't come, I won't get my money. You can argue it's not their fault. By the way, they're not the Ganovim. The defendant is the Ganov. Still, that's the word. The Torah is machayev. If you witness something, you're chayev. That through their testimony, here another nuance. Mamain, when Rambam uses the words mamain, he's coming to exclude the shtaris. That means if the claim is that you owe me those documents, it's mamash like we have in Shvus Hapikadin in the 3rd category, that the Torah compares one to the other, that none of the halachas, the unique halachas of Shvus Eidos will be applicable if the claim is about shtaris or about karka'is or about avad. That's mamain. Mamain means prat l'shtaris, and the words hametaltel means not about real estate. And again, the Torah uses the words achuza for avodim. The word achuza in estate refers to real estate. The Torah is makish avodim to karka'is. So if it's not regarding shtaris or avodim or karka'is, and the kafru beidus, and they make a denial, I don't know anything about it. I'm not a witness. And there is an oath. Now, guys, here there's a nuance. Don't get confused with the last segment. The kfira has to be done in Beis Din. That's key. When the Rambam writes, doesn't matter where the oath was taken. The Rambam is only speaking about the oath. The denial has to be in front of Beis Din. It's not called a denial. If they made a denial in Beis Din and they took an oath, now the oath doesn't matter where they took it. That's the case. Even though they did not steal, they're passive, but their denial will cause for the plaintiff to lose his claim. Now, guys, if you remember in the first chapter, what's the punishment for shvuas ha'edus? For shvuas ha'edus, you have to bring a carbon oil of yoyred, bein mezidin, bein shoigigin, as was defined shoigigin. We learned in the first day, I think at the end of Pei Gimel with more the prat. A whole different category. There's no money for sure because they didn't steal anything. They made a denial. They have to bring a carbon oil of yoyred. Now, and it won't be malchus even though it was b'meis. Only in this case. It's not only if the witnesses swore on their own, but if the plaintiff adjured them. I'm adjuring you that you know. And they say, no, we don't. So their denial was a denial with an oath. The kafru boy, and they denied again, we'll see soon, kfira has to be bebezed. But they did not take an oath, but you know who said the oath? The plaintiff. Hey, and they didn't even answer. But here, like we mentioned, because really they're denying, as we'll see in a moment, the denial, the shvua per se, we don't care. So if they would have made the oath, they can make it out of Beis Din. But since the kfira has to be Beis Din, in our case, there's only a kfira. The kfira comes together with the shvua because they were adjured, and they said no. So the kfira part of their no has to be done with Beis Din. So therefore the adjuring has to be done in front of a Beis Din. Halacha Beis. Here we go. The denial has to be in Beis Din. And again, the Rambam emphasizes the shvua we don't care about. Bein shenishbu, bein shenishbu, or yishbian bebeis din. Bein shenishbu, or yishbian chutz lebeis din. Hakfira bebeis din bilvad. Shenemer, as it says, ve'im lo yagid v'nasa avoinoi. So from there, Chazal learned, Makrem sheyagid v'yoyel. There is where im lo yagid Sham Yischayev. And you should know a rule, guys. When a person makes a admission outside of Beis Din, those admissions, right? Doas Baldin Kemeya Edom Dami will not always be Machayev. Many times a person can say Mesachik Ani B'cho. We're going to learn about this later. And it's an emes thing. This I'm saying it's easy to relate to. Sometimes a person is nudging me. So emes doesn't mean anything. If the guy makes a claim in front of a Beis Din or in front of Edom and he tells them these are the Edom that you're admitting, that's a whole different category. Okay, halacha gimel. Tuvan be'edus, if a guy is telling two witnesses, come and testify, but it's regarding something, to won't bring a monetary obligation. Or it's regarding edus karkois, like we mentioned, the Nerumas and halacha aleph, or edom ishtaris, and they denied, and it's a sin. They shouldn't have denied it, and even worse, they shouldn't have sworn. But it's not about mamain pturin mishvuasa edus. Why? She'ein chayavin ella al kfiras mammon. Why is that? Because regarding this, we compare this fourth category of edus to the third category of shvuas apikadin, shalem lepikadin, and sesumas yad, which we said is a loan, the gzela and aveda. That the Torah specified all these examples. That from there, that's the ground zero source by shvuas apikadin. That it's only been a geya metalpul and shuguf mammon. And anything that's excluded, miparsha shvuas hapikadin, is excluded from shvuas edus, but the same rule. If it's included in shvuas bitui is not limited to mammon and metalpul. Halacha 4. It's a claim for which the defendant would be chayv only a knas. The kafru here also peturin mishvuas edus. Mipnei she'im kadam hanitba b'hoida b'knas, if the defendant would have admitted, even though they would have testified that he did X, Y, and Z, he anyways would have been exempted if he would have admitted prior. If you're moida b'knas before the Edom come, I know there's a machlokes in the Gemara. The Rambam says you're pater. You're pater if you're moida before. You're pater milashalem. You would be pater. So it comes out that even though, guys, this guy didn't admit yet. When they denied knowledge, he didn't admit yet. But you can't say that their not testifying is the only thing that exempted him. It's not true. His lack of denial is part of the problem. It's not only their lack of testifying. Ella edusam together with his denial, which is machayev. So therefore, im kafru v'nishbu pturin from shvuas edus. Halacha 5. Now, what happens if a plaintiff says, "Mashbi achem ani shetovayu v'toidu li," come and testify, "Sheyeshli biyat ploini tashlumei kefil." Someone owes me knas, or someone owes me tashlumei abar v'chamisha. What did we learn in shvuas apikadin? Won't be included. Here says that Rambam b'shvuas edus v'kafru chayavim b'shvuas edus. Why? Because there is a keren true mammon. Oh, since it's a claim. When a guy says someone owes me tashlumei kefil, what is he really claiming? Geneva. Yeah, of course he wants to get the $200, even though the ox was worth 100, but he also wants the 100. Oh, it's the claim is for both. Like shvuas apikadin, whenever the claim has both keren and knas, you do include the shvuas apikadin.
You never get to a point where there's a knas, and let's say the Beis Din already assigns the knas. So now it just converts into a debt, and you owe me the money.
After there's a psak din in the Beis Din. That's another rule. Every knas after the psak din becomes money. Again, the claim is that Reuven is taking Shimon to Beis Din. He's telling Beis Din that Shimon was ma'anas or mafata, my daughter. Now, like we mentioned in the previous chapter, I know that the Torah in Kiseitzi only focuses on the 50 shekel kesef, and in the case of ma'anas, he has to marry her if the father and the girl wants. He can never divorce her, etc. But there's also boishes, pigam, and by ma'anes, by rape, there is tzar. So it's a claim that has many money and knas. Chayavin if they deny with an oath b'shvuas edus because of the boishes and the pigam. She'im hoida behemanitba, right? Mishalem loy mipnei aknas v'chin chol chayotze b'zeh. Very good. Halacha vov. Kein ha'edem chayavin b'shvuas edus ad sheyichberu v'yishavu It's only if they made their denial and oath after there was a claim. But what happens if these two witnesses, they denied knowledge and they took an oath prior to them even being asked? For example, what does that mean? If two people saw the plaintiff going after them and they knew exactly what he wanted and they preempted, and why are you going after me? We know nothing which is for your benefit. You know why? Let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to have to be chayiv the chayiv malchus if they did it amazing. If there was warning, because it was bitui, but it's not shvus eidus. Another din. What happens if the defendant is the one that asked them to take an oath, to opine, not the plaintiff? That the defendant is telling that now the Edom are allegedly going against them. Reuven tells Shimon, you owe me money. And those two people know that. But he didn't ask them. The defendant says, yeah, go and testify for him if you know something for him. Which they knew. And they denied and they took an oath. You can claim it, that's right. So if they would have admitted, Reuven would have gotten the money. But they were not asked to opine by the plaintiff. When are they chayiv if they were either asked to testify or even worse, if they were adjured by the plaintiff, not by the defendant? If a third party that was b'chlal not involved here, not even the defendant, you know, I'm sitting in court, I'm watching something go on, and I see there's an injustice because I'm watching something that I know that Reuven and Shimon are Edom, but I'm a third party. And I tell Reuven and Shimon, go to court and testify because this guy is about to lose the entire because he has no proof. And you know he's saying the emes. And they deny that they know knowledge. So again, the sin is terrible, but they did not make their denial to the plaintiff. Then Avada, Shein Peturim from Shvos Edus, Shein Zetaveh Din Atzmai. It has to be made. The demand to testify must come from the plaintiff. Another din. Now, what does it mean? Kadma Shvua Edus? The Rambam will say what it means. Imagine if a plaintiff tells to people, I'm adjuring you that in the future, I have my partner Daganef. You two guys know what's going on in my business. I'm already adjuring you that in the future, any potential geneva that he'll do from me, you'll know about it. If you'll know about it, you'll testify. If I am adjuring them even prior to there being an issue, and later when they taka there was an issue and they deny, but the oath was not made denying a specific claim. The oath was made before the whole thing. That's meaning it says who aid, which means that they know, and not that the oath was given prior to the testimony. For example, this is the oath that the plaintiff is adjuring these two witnesses with. That that when you'll know something that will be to my benefit, and these two people said, Amen, sure. And later they knew something. And when the plaintiff asked them, all they did was they denied. There was no oath then. Another than they're only chayiv if the plaintiff was miyached them, if he singles them out, as the Rambam will explain. They're singled out, and then the oath was taken. For example, if a guy stands in the Beis HaKnesses and he says, listen to his words, every word is meduik b'yosef. Mashbiya ani, I am adjuring kol mi sheyeda li edus, whoever knows, not whoever knows amongst you. Whoever knows amongst you is not miyuchad, a yichud gomer. I'm not saying you, but at least I'm saying you guys. He didn't even say the words aleichem. He says, I'm making an oath that whoever knows, and everyone said amen, including people that knew.
Are they implying that what? That they don't know it?
No.
What are they saying when they say that?
They said a guy is saying in shul, guys, I'm going today to court and I have a din Torah, and my guy is the worst kind of. You don't know what I'm going through. And whoever here knows not here, whoever knows, not here, whoever knows should testify by an oath. And everyone said, Amen. Then I go to court and I'm in trouble. And I go over to two people that answered Amen and I tell them, please come and testify. And they say, we don't know anything. There was no oath now. Now there was just a denial. When there was an oath, the oath was not specifically for them. He didn't even say for you in the plural. He just whoever knows. Why? In contrast, Yichud doesn't mean you, be Yechidus. But at least he said, I'm making an oath to all who are standing here. That means he was miyached. He pointed his finger towards at least the collective that are here. That if anyone here will know testimony, will come and testify, B'loshen Edus. And they said Amen, like he said before. And the Edom were there. And then later, when they were asked to come and testify specifically, all they did was they denied. There was no oath administered there, but there was an oath. The oath was out here. Then
Is this al derech when Bezdin is matul chelim? Matul chelim for any...
Second, Samach. Let me make it over here.
Is this al derech when Bezdin is matul chelim for any witnesses that saw something has to come? Is this along the same
Very
line?
good, very good. They have to know how to word it. Very good, Samach. And the point is, Yichud doesn't mean to say everyone's name or to point to everyone, but at least to say l'chol ha'imdim kan. Or in English, to you in English can be to the plural, but he has to say you. He says just whoever knows. It's too general. It's floating in the air. Halacha 10. The guy tells two witnesses, come and testify that Shimon owes me $100. In other words, he asked without an oath, guys. He just made an ask. Then he gets up and he says to everyone, and he makes an adjuring. Mashbiyani aleichem. Kol mi sheyeda loy edus yavoy v'yoidu. And v'loy bo v'loy heidu, they're chayav. Why? When he made the oath, he was not miyached because prior to making the oath, he asked of them specifically. But that's only true if they were in the Beis HaKnesses when there was an oath. And the Yesham Bezdin. In other words, they didn't make an oath. They didn't answer Amen. That's what we learned in the beginning of the chapter. So if you don't make an oath and you don't answer Amen, that type of mashbia, we learn has to be done in the Beis Din. And by the way, and the kfira has to be done in the Beis Din. So it depends. If they said Amen, then we don't care that the oath was out of the Beis Din. Only if their denial wasn't a Beis Din, that's the klal we keep on learning. The kfira has to be the Beis Din. The oath can be outside Beis Din. If they either made the oath or if they said Amen. If they didn't say the words and they didn't answer Amen, then the oath also has to be the Beis Din. Amen. Ein chayavin. Halacha Yud Aleph. Echad. Hamashbia Edav B'Shvua. Now we're going to go to the words that are needed to be used. Whether a person says, I'm mashbia you, I'm administering an oath, or in English, I'm adjuring you, or if he says the words, Mitzava ani alechem b'shvua, I'm commanding you with an oath, or whether the plaintiff, the toiveya, uses the words, oisrechem ani b'shvua, I am binding you from being bound. Muter is unbound. I'm binding you with an oath. Doesn't matter what semantic, they all mean the same thing. That's called a adjuring of the others. Hadei elu chayavim, if they denied. But another detail, when we speak about an oath, let's go back to what we learned in the beginning of the series. All oaths are only liable, the punishments and the penalties are only if God's name was used. Shem means or even with the kinui, which are words that are used to describe a certain character of godliness that we can relate to, like God being merciful, and God being patient, etc. Even though we can erase these words, but that's also considered enough b'shem, as we learned above. Halacha 12. The Edom only chayev, only if they understood the language of the oath. Halacha 13. Now putting everything we learned together until here. What will be included in this category, this fourth category, only if you meet all of these 10 devarim. And here are the 10 devarim. Number one, that the witnesses must be asked by the plaintiff, right? As we learned before, not by the defendant and not by anyone else. Number two, and the shetia edus regarding a mamain claim, a financial claim. Number 3, the Shia Mamain Hamatalton. It must be movable property. In other words, number 2 is not about a document. Even though a document will allow me to claim money, but the document doesn't have any inherent financial value. Number 2, it has to be regarding the talpul. Number 4, the sheyischayet hanitva l'shalem be'edusam levado im heidu. That these witnesses are the only source for the plaintiff to get his claim. Number 5, that they make a denial after they were asked. Number 6, that their denial has to be in a beis din. Number 7, that in the oath, God's holy name was used, either a name or even only a kinui. Number 8, that they must have knowledge regarding that which they are denying prior to the oath. And not like we learned, the guy is adjuring that any time in the future that you'll testify, I am mashbiani, and they said amen to that, even though they made an oath, but they didn't know yet. If they later deny, they're not included. Number 9, that when the plaintiff is telling them to come and testify with an oath, he's miyached them, as we learned before. And number 10, that if they're not taking the oath, or whether they're taking it, the oath has to be words that they understand. That these are the 10 rules. Halacha 14, kol makom she'amru patur, as we learned in Parakim Zayin and Ches, even when they will be exempt from Shvuas Eidos. But if that oath will fall into the category of Shvuas Bitoy, which is in most cases because they're saying, no, we don't know. So then they'll be chai for Shvuas Bitoy. But there's another nuance. We said before, Shvuas Eidos is even if they didn't answer Amen, as long as the Mashbiya Ani Alechem was not in the beis din. By Shvuas Bitoy, you will never be chai if you didn't say Amen. Fushanishba, either that's only if the guy swore himself, or if at least if he answered Amen, because only then do we say Nishba al Sheker. Even though he's amazed, you can argue, hold on, why doesn't this guy also get Malchus? That's a great claim. You made a Shvuas Bitoy. Only because of Shvuas Eidos Bulvad. Why? You have so many, I'm telling you, it's unusual in the Rambam, that the Rambam is giving so many reasons behind the halachas. Shaharei ha'kasiv hoitzi shvuas ha'edus b'chlal shvuas bitoy l'chayv ha'mezid b'kashogeg kekarban v'loy b'malchus. Was the fact that the Torah explicitly made a separate category for shvuas ha'edus. Whenever the Torah does it, it's taking it out completely from the parsha of shvuas bitoy, as it says la'achas mehena. Furthermore, it doesn't say be'achas me'ela, but it says le'achas mehena, which from there we learn that b'min echad b'min shvuas atam chayav anishba. But if a guy takes a false oath, you have to know in what category does it fall, and you have to be machayev him for one of them, and not for 2 of them, or not for 3 of them. You have to put it in a category and only follow those rules. In order, we don't say that he's chayiv both for shvuas eidus and b'shvuas bitoy. We don't say that. He's only chayiv for one category. And if it's shvuas eidus, then it's only for shvuas eidus. Halacha 15, mashbiya ani alechem. I adjure you. Im loy tovayu v'teidu li sheyesh li biyad ploini pikadai. And he adds, and there's also a sumas yad, and gazel, and aveda. These witnesses, no testimony regarding 4 claims. We had the similar in the last Perek in by Pikadin. And v'shvua she'ein onu yod mulcha edus, and they only make 1 oath, and they don't even specify regarding what. We don't know any testimony, even though they lied. But what are they chayiv for? The carbon oil of a yored, there's only achas. But if they say shvua she'ein onu yod mulcha edus, and when they take the oath, they also specify what they don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know that you have a Pikadin. We don't know that the guy loaned you money. We don't know that you stole. We don't know that you have his lost article. Since they were mafaret, right, every teviyah in their shvua, even though they didn't say the word shvua more than once, but they were mafaret, the claims, that's like we had in shvuas apikadin. They'll be chayav al kolachas v'achas. Halacha 16, mashbi ani aleichem, im lo yisavayu v'ti'idu li sheyesh li biyad pleni chitim v'sreinim v'kusm. Here again, there are 3, but these 3 are already more similar. There are 3 types of grains. And he says, Shvua she'ein anu yoid mucha edus, period. They didn't say in their oath regarding what? The only chayv 1. But if they say Shvua she'ein anu yoidim, we don't know edus, sheyesh l'cha b'yad pleni chitim And it turns out that they knew about all three, since they were mefaret every tviyah, they'll be chayiv al kolachas v'yachas, another carbon oil b'yered. Halacha 17 Yud Zayin. V'chedim tavu oisam rabim lahoyed lahem. A group of people asked the witnesses to testify, and they knew about all of the people, all the group. But when they said the oath, they only spoke in the plural. They said shvua she'ein adam yodem lochem edus. It's mamish like shvuas hapikodim. Then later on, when they're moida, ein chayavim ela achas, right? Because there's only one oath. But if they say loy lacha, loy lacha, loy lacha, even though they didn't say shvua lacha, shvua lacha, shvua lacha, said shvua she'ein adam yodem edus loy lacha. But for every lacha, another penalty. Chayavin al kolachas v'yachas. Kederach shebiyarnu. This is exactly as we learned in shvuas hapikodim. Now halach yudches is the opposite. Anish balachaverish yudei lo yedus. I'll top, guys. What's the opposite? A guy takes an oath. I know a testimony. And they don't know. So you can say, is this shvuas edus? It's regarding testimony. What would you say? It's not shvuas edus. And not only that, here's the word. Ve'en kan loy shvuas edus. Shvuas edus is only when the witnesses don't want to testify, right? They're denying that they know. That's if they're saying that we do know, even though they don't. It's bechlal not in that category. Nor is it shvuas bitui. Now the question is, why isn't it shvuas bitui? That would be a great example to finish off today. Like we mentioned, that even though we said shvuas hapikodim, if it's not shvuas hapikodim, it falls into shvuas bitui. If it's not shvuas edus, it's shvuas bitui. It has to fit the rules of shvuas bitui. Now, why doesn't this fit into the rules of shvuas bitui? They're saying, I swear that I know edus for you. Explains the Rambam. First of all, shvuas bitui is only if it's a yes or no. Ve'im yoimar shvua she'eni yodei alocha edus. If they would have said that, if they would have said, we don't, guys, these guys taka don't know. Einzu shvuas bitui ela shvuas edus. But since the denial is excluded from the parsha shvuas bitui, so we say that if it's not yes, the yes and the no have to be both possible. Since the I don't know is not included in shvuas bitui, so the yes no is also not included in the shvuas bitui. Hoil v'lav zeh sheyesh ba kama eina shvuas bitui. So therefore kach hein, the yes, which is a lie, that they're saying that what that sheyedei loy edus is not included in the category of shvuas bitui. Wow, this guy is not a tzaddik. You can argue das balabatim. Yeah, the guy was nish bala shekin. Yeah, he'll be potter from everything because it doesn't fit into the rules. That's great. Halacha, you test the final halacha regarding shvuas. No. Next pedic is also shvuas edus. The final halacha in this chapter. Davar barur shahanish bala chaveira shehayed loy. That when a person takes an oath to his chaved. And what is he saying? I'm swearing that I already testified that. I swear that I already testified. And he didn't. Oh, if he says, I swear that I didn't testify yet, but he did, that's a shvuas bitui. 1 second, guys. Why do we say that? Guys, shvuas ha'edus is only regarding the future. It's only regarding, no, it's I don't know, and therefore I'm not going to testify. The moment I'm swearing, I already swore, that's b'chlal not shvuas edus. That's a good thing. Because since this is not included at all in the category of shvuas edus, so therefore, yes, it falls into the category of shvuas bitui. And therefore, he'll be chayiv. V'chayiv from shvuas bitui, ve'en kan shvuas edus klal. So tomorrow, guys, just to know, tomorrow we're going to have one more pedic of shvuas bitui. Because Shabbos, we're concluding the whole of shvuas. To be continued. I love it. I think it's Danny. It's like Gemara. Why? I found this so far the best part of that.
Maybe Shabbos would have been more helpful.